Okay. Name's Gary. I garden in Zone 8B in Texas. Here to talk to you about my container gardening, especially with the fruit trees, 'cause that tends to be what I concentrate on. This January 23rd, so as you see, the peach tree is starting to bloom out, which is way early, but because our last frost date's March, first week in March, but a lot of times they'll do okay. Your peaches and stuff can take, down to about 28 degrees. So hopefully we won't get any really cold temperatures. It'll be all right. But actually, this is starting to bloom out. They do have a low chill hours on these trees. One of them is Tropic, either Beauty or Snow. I can't remember which one it was. The other is a flat donut peach variety over there. This here is a tree that I bought this year, last spring. It did produce, probably probably a dozen satsumas on, or mandarins, and does really well. I'll let it grow here. I will probably transfer it to one of the bigger pots this year so it can have more room to grow. This is what the peach tree should look like. This is a Trilite plum. It's a cross between a plum, a apricot, and a peach. They should still be dormant, but in that one, since it has higher chill hours, it's still dormant, which is good. If you look back up over here, you see that the blueberries are blooming. That's not that odd for them this time of year. They're a southern high bush. They tend to bloom early, and again, they can take some freezing temperatures as long as you don't get too cold. As long as it's warm enough for the bees to be working it. And here lately, we've had warm enough temperatures for the bees to do okay. This is another variety of southern high bush. I think it's Sweet Crisp. So it's good to have both of them bloom at the same time so they can cross-pollinate. This one I think is another Sweet Crisp, so it's the same variety, so that doesn't really help. Over here, I got some garlic that I put in a raised bed. They're fairly young, but they're still growing good, so we'll see how well that goes. Over here is another. This is lemonade. It appears like it's not going to produce a whole lot again this year. As you see, it does have very many buds on it. That just seems to be it just doesn't seem to be a very good producer. This is Snow Chaser or something of that nature. It's got a few on it. It's kind of struggled. It's in a big pot, but the roots doesn't seem to grow because I up-potted it, and blueberries don't seem to do real well on up-potting for whatever reason. Blueberries like a well-drained soil potting medium, but they also never want to dry out. So I had it in one of those fabric pots. It would dry out too much, so then I transferred it to this one, and the roots just doesn't seem to grow very much. Now all the blueberry varieties that you've seen, they're probably 8-9 years old in the pots, and I've never, other than this one, I've never changed the potting medium on it. So you can get by. Some people say you got to pot them every other year. You can get by doing it longer than that. That might stress them somewhat, but they're still producing fruit. So this peach tree is a Tropic Snow. This is probably the oldest peach tree I've got. It's 7 to 8 years old. Got lots of blooms on it. It looks kind of raggedy on the bark and stuff, but it's still producing, still making it, still a healthy tree. This is the other one. I think that this is probably the Tropic Beauty. If you'll notice, it's got fruit on it. So it's already produced. It's already got the peaches on it. Again, garage is right there. If it gets below freezing or very, very cold, I will push it into the field. It's already leaved out, but I still think we're going to be okay on it. Only time will tell. This citrus here is another Satsuma. It's it's actually a mandarin, Clementine mandarin. It's 2 years old. So it went through the second winter with me. I put it in a bigger pot, so it's gotten bigger. You come over here, here's the fruit that it produced. It produced about a dozen of these. And it should stay in this pot for a while. Over here is a lychee tree. I've only got one variety. It's already starting to try to push out. There's the little blooms right there. It's already trying to push out blossoms also. It really needs a second variety. I had a second one, but it died. So I just got the one. I did make about 8 lychees, which at $6.99 or $8.99 a pound, still, that's about what they cost anymore. This here's a longan tree. It did make several fruits. I mean, probably 2-3 dozen fruit 2 years ago. It didn't make any last year. but I think it's just the freeze and all that stuff kind of messed it up. So it's doing okay. This here's a Myers lemon. Again, it's got blossoms on it starting to come out. So this one's another one that's probably, it's 7, 8 years old. I brought from the old house. Did not have good potting soil in it, but still it's done okay. It needs to be repotted, but I never get around to doing that so far. This is a lemonade tree, Yujitsu, if I say it real quick. This is the type of fruit it produced. It produced 4 of them this year. I should have taken them off. They grow bigger. I've got a big tree out in the orchard. This is kind of a backup in case something happens to it. We did have a freeze that got down to 14 degrees, but it looks like it's coming back. But sometimes I'm going to be growing some of these fruit trees just so if I have a really cold freeze, it kills the trees in the ground, I can still have something to graft back to. This here is a Persian lime tree. It's got one lime on it somewhere. It didn't fall off already.
You ate one of them.
Yep, that's not on it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
it
might have fell off. And like I say, it's fixing to bloom out. Got lots of blooms on it. Probably put a lot more on it again. This is kind of it's called a pomelo tree, according to which literature you read to. It's starting to throw out a lot of blooms too. This, and it'll make grapefruit or bigger sized fruit. If you look in the stores, I mean, the fruits are about that big around. This one had probably 2 dozen on it, and some of these limbs are limped down because it was laden down with fruit. I had a T-post beside it trying to make sure it didn't split, and it didn't. But it's producing really well, and you know, it's, to me, it'd be a good one for a potting culture. The reason you put these in pots is because at 8B we get too cold. This will start getting damaged at about 28 degrees. We're going to hit that almost every year. So when it hits down, you know, gets below freezing, I take these and put in the garage. And if I have to put them in there 3 or 4 days, that's okay. It's not going to hurt them. They don't lose their leaves. They're fine. Some people worry about whether they don't get any light. It doesn't really matter. You're not putting them in a heated house, so you're not having any problems with low humidity. They come out of it doing just fine. The only other thing I guess I'm going to look at right quick is just, and we're just going to go over there, look over there. You see all those buckets over there? That's fig trees. The only thing I'll say good about putting figs in a container is they will make quick. I mean, you put a fig, all those figs you see, they'll put on figs the first year because it stretches them a little bit, and figs need to be stretched a little bit to be able to put the fruit on. They're a really good fruit to put in a container. Some of them are smaller than other ones. I can grow them in the ground here. I just haven't got around to, I'm trying to find the ones they like the best because figs have different flavor profiles. Some of them taste like a berry, more berry flavor, jammy flavor type. And some of them are just really sweet. My son, who I'm really kind of growing them for, he doesn't like the sweet. I got one, he said, that's just way too sweet. So there's a yellowneck variety, is a variety name of it. So if you like yellowneck variety, it's a really sweet one, get the yellowneck because it was really sweet. If you like the more berry type, Papa John's, I probably got 30 different varieties over there we're trying out and testing out. But anyway, that's kind of the stuff that I've got for today. I'll be also doing some other stuff. I've got an in-ground garden. I also got raised beds, but today we're just going to talk about containers. Anyway, thanks for watching.